All right, guys, here we go. Here we go. My review of Maxx Force. Maxx Force is located at Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. And before we get into the review, we kind of want to go over a couple stats real quick for the ride. This ride was designed by the SNS Technologies. This ride goes from 0 to 78 miles per hour in just 1.7 seconds. That's fast. Has a duration of 23 seconds, and you will do 5 inversions within those 23 seconds. The ride also has a height of 175 feet, which is that first inversion. And then that drop is about 180 feet because you are going underground underneath that launch track with there. The ride does have 2 trains, 4 cars per train. Take a total of 16 riders per session as the train goes out. And so we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about it. This ride opened on July 4th, 2019. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it there for Media Day as much as I really wanted to. However, I was able to get out to Six Flags a couple of weeks later to check out this ride. And let me first start off by saying, when you get into this park, you can hear this ride launching. I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if it was intentionally done or it was done on accident or just something they just discovered. But this ride is loud, and you see people jump as the ride is taking off because it's really that loud that it really just kind of it's not normal. Let's just say it that way. It's not a normal sound, but you know that ride has a commanding presence. You know it's there. And so we get into the park, and it's our first ride of the day. So we get over there, and we get through the line, and we make it to the station. And first of all, when we got there, the ride had only been open for 2 weeks. So they were still doing a little bit of touch-ups in the line. Some queue lines were still being installed. The line wasn't insanely bad because the weather was absolutely ridiculous. It was so hot that day. Just so hot. So good for us is that the lines were all in the water park. So everyone was over there trying to cool off. So the lines inside the park were not that bad. But back to the ride. So we get in line, and you can still see them touching up. I think the station looks great. Right now, they've pretty much finished everything. The fins on top of the station look fantastic. The racing theme, it's very it's pretty much true to scale when you saw the video when they first debuted this ride. The train looks phenomenal. It's a racing themed train, so it has a little race car. It's like a little race car, like a drag car, and you'll see it has some stock tires on it. It has a fin on the back, has the front wing on it, and very sleek, very nice, very stylish. And so we get in there. We did 2 rides on Maxx Force. Our first ride was in the back of the train. So we got to the back and sat down. Seats are very comfortable. I was very nervous because I'm about 6'2", and I have very, very, very long legs. And I was very scared that my legs were not going to be able to fit or be accommodated in this restraint. Lucky for me, I was good to go. There were a few guests who were not able to make it, and these weren't big guys. I think a couple of the guys just they have that stomach that kind of comes out a little bit more than others, but they weren't like huge men. But for some reason, that restraint just couldn't get them in there. So we did see a couple of that, but lucky for me, I was able to make it on. So I get on this ride, and it's very seldom that I get scared on a roller coaster. This time was different. I was truly scared. I was a little scared, and it wasn't because of the inversions or anything like that. It was the launch. Just watching this ride take off, hearing it take off, and just knowing what I'm about to do is really is really terrifying. And so, but before we talk about the ride, get back to the ride. Some of you may know this. There was a ride back in 2003, 2004 at King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia. King's Dominion had this ride called Hypersonic XLC. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. Some of you got a chance to ride it. I was one of the lucky people to ever get on this ride before they closed it down for good. And so that ride was the most intense launch I've ever been on. To this day, even with Maxx Force opening, Hypersonic, even though the ride is gone, the ride still had the most intense launch I have ever been on. And that ride was from 0 to 80 in about 1.5 seconds. Something it was something absolutely crazy. Excuse me, and it had a shorter launch track than Max Force, so it had to make up a lot more distance than it would if it was on Max Force. But anyway, both rides are air launch coasters, so they use compressed air to launch these rides, which allows that great acceleration on there. But I've been on Top Thrill Dragster, I've been on King Ka, uh, man, I've been on Vertical Velocity, I've been on Flight of Fear, Joker's Jinx, all these launch coasters at these different parks, and that the launch on Max Force beats all of them. It beats all the launches, and that is something that I just can't get over how good that launch was, how good the launch is on Max Force. But anyway, so get back to the ride. So we're sitting down, sitting in the back, train leaves the station, and your heart is just racing right now, racing, because you're going through your mind like, okay, what's about to happen? How is this launch going to be? Is how fast is it going to be? I don't know what's happening, and so we get there, the train stops, and you have to wait for the next train to come into the station before your train can launch. So we're at this time you're waiting for the next train to come in. Your trains, you see the catch wagon, you can hear the catch wagon coming down the track, and your train locks into place. It moves up a little bit further. Train locks in. You see the brake fins drop. Probably about 3 seconds after the fins drop, this ride takes off like a bat out of hell. And I mean, you are gone. And by the time you even think about it, you're already up in the dog tongue inversion, and you get a great view of the park. You flip over again. You're heading down. And very cool part, you go underneath the launch track, and it cuts a right turn, and you head into the world's fastest inversion at 60 miles per hour. Go through that barrel roll. Once you come up that barrel roll, you're going to head up into another inversion. The train kind of banks left, banks right, and then flips you upside down, and then you hit the brake and run. The ride's done. 23 seconds, 5 inversions. Maxx Force is truly a cool ride. I honestly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the back seat. And but I knew I wanted to get a ride in the front row. So went back out into the park, rode some more rides, came back a little bit later in the afternoon, and I said, "All right, it's time." So I was able to I was able to talk my way to the front row. I was a single rider. I said, "I'll wait, whatever the wait is. I'll wait." Kudos to the team up there, man. They were very accommodating. They were hustling up there. They were doing their best to help everyone out as much as they can. They were a great team up there. So the gentleman allowed me to wait in the front row. I actually rode by myself in the front row. There was no one else with me, no one else who wanted to ride, and there was no one in line who was a single rider. So I ended up in the front row by myself, which was cool. I got to experience it for myself. And so we get in there, and same thing as before. Train rolls out, waiting for the next train to come in, and now you actually see the catch wagon coming down. So your heart is like really, really, really racing, and then you see the brake fins drop, and then the train takes off again. Something about being in the front row of this ride scares the pure living hell out of me, and I was just not ready for that. I was not ready for that. And once we get into that inversion, and I'm like, okay, here we are. Woo, we made it through the worst part. Then we head back to the inversion again, heading down at the launch track, and in the front row, man, you are hauling. I mean, you're picking up some speed. Get through that barrel roll, hit the inversion at the end, hit the brake run, ride's over, and probably one of the best front seat rides I've ever had on a roller coaster was Maxx Force in the front row. Just from the speed, the visuals, just all the elements on the ride. It was super cool. But that launch, man, I cannot tell you enough. Everything else seems tamed compared to Maxx Force. And so I think they really did a good job. I think they kind of knocked it out the park with this ride. I know they're still, working out some little things with the ride, tweaking it over time. It's a new ride, so it comes with the territory. So I think for the most part, people are kind of patient with everything that's going on. So they're doing a great job up there. So kudos to the team at Six Flags Great America. They keep it going. But for the most part, man, I truly, honestly do enjoy that ride. I think it broke my top 10. I would say it's in my top 10. As far as launches go, that's probably like my number one coaster as far as one of my favorite launches ever. But I might have to ride it a few more times for it to see if how high it can go in my top 10. I think right now it's sitting at number 10. As number 10 is one of my favorite coasters. I have some other ones that are up there right now. But you know, I honestly enjoyed it. And if you get the opportunity to get out there to check it out, I encourage you to do so. Even if you have to wait about 45 minutes to an hour, it's still worth the wait. And everyone's like, oh, it's so short. It's this, it's that. No, check it out for yourself, experience it for yourself. Because once you do, I promise you won't be disappointed. If you love a good launch, you love some cool inversions, you love speed, you're going to get all of that with Maxx Force. So if you get a chance to get Six Flags Great America, get out there, check it out. Maxx Force, great ride. And I look forward to going back out there for Fright Fest. They always put on a good product out there. So I look forward to going back out there in the fall to check it out and get another ride on Maxx Force. And, and then we'll kind of see where my ranking goes. But as of right now, I loved it. Very cool ride. I appreciate you guys listening, and I'll talk to you soon.